Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S Series 2 Wave 3 figures from Boss Fight Studio. That's right, my friends. Our good friends over at Boss Fight sent along these early samples of Wave 3 of their Series 2 figures. Great line of action figures, all done in that 3 3/4 inch or 4-inch scale. Lots of great customization options with interchangeable heads, lots of swappable parts, and very cool accessories. So we got 4 figures in front of us here today. Starting things off, we have Lord Vehemence, the Dragon Cult War Priest. We've got Aspen, the Spring Elven Archer. We've got the Blasted Lands Orc Ravager, the female. And we have King Lance Steelblade, the King of Accord. So they continue that same style Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S packaging. If you've picked up any figures in the line, fits right in with the rest. All of them have this really great artwork of the characters right here alongside the figure that's fully showcased with all the accessories. You can even see different interchangeable heads. Like I said, really adds to the customization of the action figures. And the backside there not only gives you some background information on the character, but also has a cross-sell of the different figures. And one of the great things, of course, about the Boss Fight figures is that the packaging is always collector-friendly. So what I mean by that is you got these great little lips here where you can just slide the card back right off there. And look at this, we can easily pull the little insert right out of there, and we can remove the figure and all of his accessories. This is great because if you want to pull the figures out and mess around with them, and then ultimately you decide you want to put them back in the package and display them that way, you can. And it doesn't ruin anything because nothing is sealed. There's no tape or anything like that. You easily can just slide the card back right out, pull the figure out, put it back in if you want to. So very cool stuff. I've always been a big fan of collector-friendly packaging. But with that said, why don't we go ahead and get a closer look at the 4 action figures within. All right, let's kick things off with Lance Steelblade, King of Accord. So this is one of the figures in this wave that comes with a ton of accessories. You can kind of see them all just laying on the ground here, and I'm going to show you each of these individually, and we'll take a closer look at the figure itself here. We'll start with this guy with your measurement so you can see exactly how these guys measure up. You can see they're actually just over 4 inches, so a little bit taller than that. I'm actually even on top of the little figure stand here. So just a little over 4 inches, but the 4-inch scale is typically the playground that the H.A.C.K.S figures fall into. Really great detailing on this guy. Now, right out of the package, there will be some things that you're going to want to assemble. For example, there's a couple different ways you can customize his armor. You'll have to put on the little plates on his thighs there. They just clip into the little pegs. You see the little peg system kind of right there. You can just plug it right in there. Very easy to assemble those. And then you do have the shoulder armor that you can pop on, or you also have this great little kind of purple cape that just hangs over his shoulder. So if you wanted to, you could easily take that off. You can see it's just a little peg there. And if I wanted to, put the armor on both shoulders, you could do that instead. Just a little peg. There's a little socket right there in the shoulder. Just press that into place, and boom, we can change the look of this guy. And you're going to see that that's a theme all the way across the board with these. And they come with tons of different parts, so you can really create multiple characters or just really make these guys your own, which is very, very cool. So these guys, really nicely done. I will say the paint looks awesome on this guy. It's very clean all the way across. I absolutely love his kind of pearlized white armor that he's wearing with the nice gold accents on there. Great design all the way through, and it feels nice and solid. Great quality on this guy. So the articulation is really good as well. So there's a ball joint at the neck, and he's ball jointed at both the top and the bottom of the neck. And this is actually going to help. You'll see it when we do the interchangeable head as well. You'll see the peg in there, but you can see that actually gives a pretty good range of motion right there on the head. We do have really nice joints at the shoulders. It's very tight, but you can see the arms do go upwards, forwards, and backwards. Great, nice ball joints there. You could swivel at the elbows. You can bend at the elbow. You can swivel at the wrists. There's even the hinge joints. So look at that. You can move the wrists up and down. And again, interchangeable hands, so you'll be able to pop those out of socket as well. Got that great ball joint there at the waist, or the kind of the torso there, so you can rotate the body. You do have the great nice ball joints at the thighs, legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards. Great range of motion there, which looks really, really good. You do have really nice double joints at the knees, and they're good and tight. They kind of got the ratchet thing going on, which is really going to be good for posing these guys around. And then in the feet, at the ankles there, look at that. We can swivel the ankles side to side. You got the joint so you can bend the ankles forwards and backwards. Doesn't really rock too much on the males, but I'll show you guys. The articulation is pretty much the same across the board, but the females do almost kind of have like the rocker joint at the ankle as well, which really helps with the posability. So getting these guys to pose around should be no problem. And all of the figures do come with this nice little figure stand, the boss fight figure stand, which is really going to help immensely with keeping these guys up. They do balance just fine without it, but I always find that it helps with the poses a little bit there. I'm always a fan of a nice, solid figure stand to come with action figures. So let's start with the interchangeable pieces. So like I mentioned, there are some interchangeable hands here, and basically they're just kind of different shapes of gripping hands. So you can see it's got more of a closed grip there on the right hand, which is going to be good for some of the weapons. If you want to swap those out, you're just going to have to give it a nice good tug. You can see they're in there pretty tight, but look at that. Boom, you can just pop it out just like that. Little peg there, and then we can take the new hand, give it a nice firm press, locks it into place there, so that way he can have a tighter grip on any of his accessories. So you'll see I've got the little sword scabbard. I plugged that into his belt, hanging at his side. He does come with this really nice sword. We can position that there, which is really, really cool. So with the heads, we got some great things going on here. First of all, our King Lance Steelblade here head has got the really nice crown with the long hair. But what's really cool about this is you do have the ability to customize this a little bit by adding a helmet. In order to do that, we're actually going to take the hair right off the figure. You can see it's got a little peg right there on the top, so we can pull the hair off, and in its place, you can actually add this very cool helmet. So that way our king can charge into battle for himself. Love the wings. Just a really overall very cool design. But even more than that, we have an extra helmet, kind of more of a standard knight's helmet. And we have two different interchangeable heads. Check that out. This is going to be good because it not only adds to the customization of the character, so you can make him whoever you want, but you can army build with this guy. If you want to make a bunch of knights to stand with King Steelblade, you can do just that. And you see it's very easy to change the heads. They're just on those ball joints, like I said. Very easily pop it in the neck peg there. And if you want to, you can take those helmets. Both of those helmets will fit on any of the heads there. And look at that. We've got ourselves kind of more of a standard knight if we want to have a standard knight. And, of course, if we're going to have different knights, we've got a few different weapons to arm them up with. I mentioned the sword, but in addition to that, we've got this very cool battle axe. And we've got this really epic shield that's got the very cool purple, silver, and gold colors. Love the kind of emblem that's on there as well. The shield is really nice as well because it's kind of got that slot where the arm slides through and then grips onto the little handlebar there. So very cool looking little extra piece there, and as well as the little banner. So you can have some of your knights holding the king's signature banner or flag when going into battle. So overall, very cool looking character, but just one of many in this wave. So let's check out some of the others. Alright, so that brings us to Aspen, the Elven Archer, the first female in this particular wave that we're going to be taking a look at here. Let me go ahead and bring in the measurements here so you can see where they rank in exactly 4 inches. So just a little bit shorter than our male figures, than King Steelblade was there in this particular wave. Still very, very cool looking figure. You can see she doesn't come with quite as many accessories as the King did, but still some great stuff, some good interchangeable pieces as well. And the articulation does function pretty much the same on the female bodies here. You can see the upper body still has that great kind of ball joint there, which is really awesome. And then at the ankles here, you can see that little rocker I was talking about. Look at that, where we can kind of rock the feet side by side. So they do have the skinnier legs and the tinier feet. She still stands pretty good, but again, that little figure stand there definitely helps to keep her standing. So you can get some pretty cool poses with her there. And she does come with 2 different heads as well as some interchangeable hands. Again, the hands just have various grips, which are going to be good for her bow and arrows, as well as the cool little blades that she comes with. I'm going to show you in just a second. But 2 different heads. So you got 2 very different looks. You got this blonde hair And she does have the little pointy ears, but then you've got more this kind of dirty blonde or almost green-haired head with the really long pointed ears. And the head just pops off exactly the same. You can see the pegs are right there inside the heads, little ball joints. You're just going to pop that into the neck there, and you can swap the heads out. I actually really like the second head. I think that one is my preferred head on this particular figure. Just a very cool-looking character all around. I love the details there because her outfit totally looks like it's made out of leaves and plants. Look at all the details there. 2 different colors, basically, of greens, as well as even some browns and some nice wash in there that really brings out all the details. Same, look at that, like the kind of the leaves strapped around her shins there. Just a really cool looking outfit. So great look for the Elven Archer here. Now, of course, gotta have some cool accessories. She is an archer after all. So, first of all, she does come with a little quiver here, holding arrows, and look at this. All of the arrows in this quiver can be pulled out. Look at all the arrows that she comes with. That is a very cool little piece of accessory there. Now, she's got a little peg on the back of that quiver. There is a little hole on the back, so you can plug this in. I will say the peg is a little big. It almost doesn't quite fit in there. You got to kind of make it fit, at least the first time you got to fit it in there, but then you can pose her with that on her back. Her hair does tend to hit it sometimes. You can see I just kind of popped it off by moving her head, so you definitely want to get that in the right spot, but there you go. You can put the quiver on her back. And then she's got her bow here so that she can fire the arrows. Now, there's no string on the bow, but you'll see one of the cool things that Boss Fight did is they left little notches on there so that if you want to add your own string, you totally could do that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now, her hands are molded in a way that really holds on to the bow very nicely, and you can even get the arrows kind of between her fingers. Look at that on that sculpt there. So then you can find some pretty cool poses with her holding on to the bow and arrow, whether getting ready to fire it or even making it look like she's drawing the arrows back. So very cool. And of course, the articulation definitely helps so that you can actually position her to look like she's firing the bow, which is very important for a character that uses a bow and arrow. Now, one of the other cool things, almost hidden on the quiver, is she has 2 little daggers. Check that out. Sheathed on either side of the quiver. So, if she's tired of using her bow and arrow, or she has run out of arrows, you can always arm her up with these cool little daggers instead, and she can charge into battle that way. So, really cool looking figure as well. Moving on, we are at the female Blasted Lands Orc. Man, I've had a lot of fun with her. Check out, look at this pose. I just love that right off the bat. So just a very cool, very ferocious looking character here. Very different, of course, than our elf because she's got more of an armored look going on there. And some really, really great details in all of this armor. And I love the paint deco. It has this great almost gunmetal look to it, has a nice shine to it. She's got kind of like the leathery pants and the boots on there, and she has got some very cool weapons of her own. So first of all, I love this particular head, the one that we're starting with here. It is part of the sculpt, but she's wearing this great little skull mask, which is just so ferocious and very, very cool looking. Now, if you prefer, there is an unmasked head that comes with it as well, where you can see her more orcan details there. You got the little teeth poking out, the pointed ears, very cool. And you can swap that out the same as we've done with all the others by easily just popping the neck joint right out there. Now, I will say on this particular head, it almost seems like it sits a little too high, and I've tried pushing this in all the way. It doesn't really go in any further than that. So from some angles, it looks a little strange, but under different poses, it looks totally fine. So it really kind of depends. I actually prefer the skull head anyway, so I'm all right with that. And again, that could be something just on mine. So she's got some really cool accessories. In addition to that, she does have this awesome club. I love it, the way it's kind of like this twisted, wretched looking wood with the spikes sticking out of it there. Very cool looking accessory. But also, if you don't want her to be armed up with a club, you've got these 2 really great blades that almost look like it's carved out of like obsidian or something, because it's like this very shiny black material there. Very cool. And you can see, I love just like all these little details, like the little scrapes and scratches and everything in the blades, but they're really, really nicely done. So you get a larger machete type and a smaller knife. And then you've also got this very cool round wooden looking shield. Of course, it's not real wood, but it's sculpted to look just like that. Nice kind of metal outside there. Just a regular handle on the inside, but man, it's just a really cool looking shield. And you can really arm her up and make her one ferocious looking lady. And that, my friends, is going to bring us to the final figure and probably my favorite of this particular set, Vehemence, the Dragon Priest. So, you know me, I love the bad guys, and this is one very cool looking bad guy. So he does have a kind of a similar design going on there to the king, though with some differences. He's not quite as armored up. He does have these great looking kind of like skirt type pieces hanging down here. You will have to assemble like the fur up on the shoulders, just plugs in via peg, as well as the little cape, just kind of hooks right underneath that there, but just makes a very cool looking figure. He has got a nice armored torso and everything going on there, but his colors are much more muted. He's not as bright and vibrant and shiny as the king. This guy is much more muted and dark and gritty and just very, very cool looking. And some of the cool accessories that he comes with, like my personal favorite is this book. So you can just attach that right to his waist. You can see there's just a little peg there, and I just kind of plugged it right into his belt loop. But man, that is so cool. He's got this very, I guess it's his evil priest book there for summoning dragons or whatever. And then he's got his scabbard with a removable sword there, so you can really arm this dude up. But that is not all. There is a lot of really cool things going on here. So he looks great like this, but let's change some of the display options up. He does have the same kind of interchangeable hands as all the other guys, so every figure in this wave does come with swappable hands with different grips. This guy also has this amazing helmet that really completes his look. Check this out. He looks way more evil when he put on this awesome helmet that has kind of the horns coming off of the top of it, almost has this skull-like look to it. Just really completes the look of this guy. And he's got some pretty great weapons to go along with that as well. But before we get to those, I got to show you my favorite part about this. That helmet is great, but he does come with one interchangeable head. Look at this. We'll pop the head off there, and in its place, we can put on this amazing skull head. Oh, and check this out. The skull even has the same scar going across the left eye. And, you know, if the skull's not scary enough on its own, you could totally put the helmet on over the skull, and it works just fine. But man, that skull head really makes this guy incredibly impressive. And to add to that, not only does he have the sword, but he's got this smaller little dagger, which has got its own sheath, so I could put that on his belt instead of the longer sword scabbard if I want to. He's also got this longer mace-like weapon, great two-handed melee weapon there, and my favorite, the actual little mace, or the ball and chain with the metal chain. And man, this, with the skull head, just makes my favorite way to display this guy. Vehemence is one very cool looking villain, and definitely my favorite figure in this particular series. So there you guys go, a look at the Vitruvian H.A.C.K.S Series 2 Wave 3 action figures from Boss Fight Studio. Really great wave, and I've really been loving this line of action figures from Boss Fight. They just put so much love and care into this particular scale of action figure. The details are wonderful, the interchangeable parts are fantastic, really allowing you to kind of mix and match parts and create your own little world of all these great fantasy characters. This particular series is still available for pre-order right now at bossfightshop.com. Each figure will be $24.99, and they are expected to start shipping in late March or early April. Once again, very special thanks to the folks over at Boss Fight for sending these along so we can get a good look at them outside of the packaging. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of these guys, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time, my friends.